Hello, nonprofit leaders. I'm Sarah Olivieri, your host, and this podcast is here to assist people like you, executive directors, board members, and other nonprofit leaders make a bigger impact with insights, tips, and lessons learned from nonprofit leaders and experts. Having been an executive director, a board member, and now a consultant and coach, I truly understand the challenges you face. And that's why I'm here. I'm all about working smarter, not harder, so you can make a bigger impact without the burnout. And so is our sponsor, DonorBox. DonorBox isn't just a suite of helpful fundraising tools, it's a partner that helps you raise more money and supports you in retaining your donors. I love their forward-thinking approach. Visit donorbox.org to learn more. And don't forget to sign up for the Inspired Nonprofit Leadership newsletter, where you'll get bite-sized, actionable tips just for nonprofit leaders like you, delivered weekly to your inbox. Sign up at inspirednonprofitleadership.com/sign up. Okay, let's dive into today's episode. Today, we're talking about to-do lists, or what I sometimes call the to-do list trap. And that is where you have this to-do list that seems never ending. It never seems to get done. Maybe it causes you stress and anxiety. Maybe you also have what I call the secret to-do list, like all those other things you also need to do that never really make it on the to-do list because you don't count them, but you still have to do them. I certainly had a secret to-do list for years. It wasn't that it needed to be a secret. It was like a secret for myself to make the to-do list feel more manageable. So here's the thing about to-do lists. So I want to go over just a couple points today. When you have a to-do list, usually you go to your to-do list and you say, okay, what do I need to do next? And then you look at your to-do list, and then hopefully you pick the most important thing. Maybe you pick the most fun thing. Maybe you pick the thing that feels the easiest to do because you need some low-hanging fruit. But no matter which way you do it, you are essentially moving into planning mode, or in a way, a minor version of strategic planning mode. And when we go into planning mode in our brains, it's actually very energy consuming. Like, we actually burn more calories when we are in planning mode. So you go into planning mode, you're consuming those calories. You do the thing, you go back to your to-do list, you go back into planning mode, you do a little bit of planning, you do the next thing, and maybe you get through a bunch of items, maybe you get through a couple items, maybe you realize you are just too stressed and burnt out today to do anything, and you're like, forget the to-do list, I need to go for a cup of coffee or have a rest. So when we work off a to-do list, we are actually repeatedly putting ourselves into strategic planning mode all throughout the day, which is not the most efficient way to work, because it is possible to plan what we need to do a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance. I use a method where, in the impact method, which I teach my clients, I also use it on myself. So I plan my projects every 2 weeks. I refine what I'm supposed to be working on as projects. I figure out all the to-dos that need to be done. I already have my recurring tasks in my calendar, not on a to-do list. They're in my calendar as recurring events. And every 2 weeks, I'm looking at that and I'm planning out everything that needs to be done. So that takes me about, for just me, it takes me about an hour every 2 weeks to really plan everything out thoroughly for 2 weeks. And then maybe once a week, I'm doing a little tweak, but really what I'm doing the rest of the time is playing like a jigsaw puzzle with my calendar, which is not planning. I'm just saying this task, didn't get done yesterday. And I know, and it's in my calendar, so it's got a block of time. Maybe it's like a 1 hour task. It didn't get done. Fine, life happens, right? Now I'm just going to drag it to the 1 hour block that is available in my calendar to get it done. That's not planning mode. That's just like visual, like dook, dook, dook. I'm not thinking about what needs to be done next. Everything is already prioritized. So instead of subjecting myself to strategic planning repeatedly throughout the day, I'm doing it once every 2 weeks. So I want to break down a couple things for you and why this works. So first, there is that difference between time management, which is really code for like strategic planning when we're figuring out what to do, and calendar management, which can be very, very visual, especially if we have color-coded calendars. And in our Q&A session, I will show you mine if you'd like. When we have unfinished tasks, they make us feel overwhelmed. So when we are looking at a long to-do list of like everything that we need to do, it never finishes. We don't get that psychological, like, yay, it's complete. Whereas I plan out a reasonable amount to do in my day. And then when I finish it all, and even when I don't finish it all, at the end of the day, I just move everything that didn't get finished into a place that it fits later in the week. So I know it's going to get done. So I still get the satisfaction of it's done. And we need to build in these psychological triggers. It's how social media works. It's how our phones work. Like if you ever see like a little red notification bubble on your phone, like it's usually a red circle that has a number in it. It's designed to trigger you psychologically, not so much in a good way. I like to use a calendar tool that syncs with my Google Calendar that lets me check off a task. It makes it go green and it goes bing. Sounds simple, but those little psychological hacks make me feel a sense of accomplishment. And because I have a reasonable amount of things to accomplish already planned in my calendar with my meetings and everything in the right amount of time, then I get that sense of completion and accomplishment every day, even when I don't finish everything, because the full day, like psychologically, I play a game with myself. I just turn the day green, right? So I just make everything that got done green, and I feel that sense of joy rather than that sense of not getting things done. So this reduces decision fatigue, friction around what needs to get done. And my calendar then, I like to call it calendarizing tasks, brings me this sense of peace every day. So for example, this morning I went out for my normal kind of morning walk with the dog and little meditation. I do a guided meditation and hopefully that goes well. Although yesterday my dog saw deer crossing the lake I sit in front of, which is now frozen, and he took off. So I didn't get my meditation in, but I got the morning walk. He came back, fortunately, and he's fine. But I got that meditation in, and part of that was like, oh, I don't even know exactly what I'm doing today, but I know that it is all in my calendar. It is the most important things that I should be doing because I planned that to actually, I just did my 2-week planning I did it this weekend. Normally I would do it on Monday, but because it was a holiday, I just wanted to know it was in there. And I just felt just relaxed, knowing I didn't have a lot to do because my son's out of school this week. So I made sure to make the week kind of light. And I was like, well, I don't know what it is, but I know it's the right thing. And I know it's there waiting for me. And I know I don't have to look at it until 10 o'clock. So I was able to just have this like psychological peace in my brain, which is one of the keys to being a great leader. You have to be able to bring your brain to baseline because you need to be able to kind of infect your entire team with that calmness. And the reason why it's so important to be calm is not just because it feels good, but because when we're in a state of calm, that's when we can access all of our brain and do our best decision making and our best thinking. So even though the to-do list kind of sounds like a little thing, if your to-do list is essentially putting you in panic mode and putting you in strategic planning mode repeatedly throughout the day, you are using up your prefrontal cortex, or if you're going into panic mode, you're literally shutting down your prefrontal cortex and you're not able to be as good a leader.
You've been listening to Inspired Nonprofit Leadership. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode or the bonus episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review and be sure to share with your friends and colleagues. Tune in every week for more useful insights and wisdom on nonprofit leadership. Thanks so much for all you do for the communities you serve. Until next time, all the best.